So I decided to start pottery lessons just as a way to kind of start a hobby again. I missed doing something creatively, and it was a great opportunity to do something like once a week because it was planned. And my sister also wanted to do it, which was really nice and really fun. So yeah, you're going to watch me make some pottery. This is the first session. It was bowls week. I made 4 bowls. She made more than me, but hope you enjoy. It's just a bunch of bowl making basically. You can even speed it up. Anything that needs to be discussed, I'll just chat over it. And then there's some parts with some audio from the teacher because they gave very good advice, just like what's coming up right now.
So, I might bring this in a little bit for you just so it's a bit easier, and then I'll watch your technique and give you some advice. There you go. Okay. If you have a wee go at centering, I'm going to watch what you're doing, and yep, nice. And then try and bring your thumb on top. And just grip really, really tight with that hand. Kind of, if you try and think about like pushing, yeah, that's good. Like pushing onto your left elbow and really kind of trying to hold everything really, really still. Nice. So if you slowly lift off for me, you've now got the pressure with your left hand, like good, and you can tell because it's starting to lift up, so that's a really good sign. But we now want to compress it back down. Okay. So you were already kind of doing it a little bit, but with your thumb there, you can either kind of like make a fist with your right hand, or bring like a chop, but you just want a little bit more downward pressure to really compress it into the position of your hand.
Amazing, thank you.
So for me, because I have kind of longish nails, longer than everyone that was there, because I like a little French tip. I had to do this kind of technique where you put your entire side of your fist down to compress the clay. I think either way I would like that because my hands are kind of short in length. They're chunky because I've got little chubby fingers, but lengthwise I couldn't get my entire hand around the lump of clay. So you'll see later I had to use both hands to kind of compress it widthwise, but using the side of the hand definitely was the best technique for compressing it down, and I think I used that throughout. Also, if anyone has any tips to do with using clay or moving clay with longish nails, I would love to hear it. Our instructor gave us a few, and you can see them throughout this kind of YouTube video, but any more would be great. Basically the tips were just use extra sponges because it stops the clay from going in your nails, or use kind of tools, but I'm wondering if there's anything specific that people know or can like reference me to like different YouTube videos, because I would love to know what to do about it. I felt like my nails kept getting snagged on bits. Yeah, I just kept getting caught, but I'll learn to deal with it.
To put the hole in.
But then, I mean, that's already a lot more centered there. So yeah, you can keep pushing the hole in because you do have slightly longer nails. You might just want to use the sponge more. I might get you another one that's. So once you've got the depth of your base, you're going to hook your finger and bring your base out to kind of 4 or 5 centimeters, and then you're going to compress it with your small sponge, basically just squashing it down and making it flat. And then you can slow to medium speed and start to get height. If you want a wee reminder on how to get height, just give me a wee shout and I can kind of go over that for you. Because you might need to.
Thank you.
The key thing when you're getting height with your piece is that you slow the wheel to medium speed and you're really gentle with your pressure and really slow with your hands. You need your hands moving more slowly than the wheel.
While I'm trying to recenter this bit of clay, because as you can see just before this, it started to wobble quite a bit. So you can see me kind of pushing it from the sides, trying to get it a bit more center and trying to get some height. You can kind of see it wobbling there. You can also just see me dropping the sponge and not being able to pick it up. Yeah. But yeah, I'll explain kind of how the wheel works for some people who have never used it. So this is just a pottery wheel. How you would start your pottery is just throw it as center as possible. And then that's why you kind of see people pushing, because obviously if it's moving in a circle, you're pushing it into the middle. That's getting it as centered as possible. The pottery wheel itself has like a pedal, and that's why you can kind of see me sometimes going backwards looking at the pedal because I can't see it when you're leaning forward. The fastest pedal is when you push it fully forward, like your toes are tilting forward. The middle is when your foot's kind of laid in the middle position, and then back is the wheel stops. I basically used the full motion. I thought it was the easiest to control when it was going the fastest it possibly could. And that is probably where I ran into a lot of breaking the pot because I was going too fast and not correcting the problems. And that's on me. I'm impatient. It can't be helped. And you kind of see me there jump back. It's because you want your elbows to be right in at your side or stomach, because that gives you the most amount of control over the clay when you're pushing. So when you see me like jumping back, it's to give my arms enough space between my stomach / hips to the pottery, because you want it to be tight and firm. At least that's what I was told.
So I'm trying to smooth that over.
That's alright. You also might want a slightly different technique
Yeah.
because of your nails. So if you want to have a go, instead of kind of pushing in with your fingers like this, you kind of tuck your index finger in and then rest your thumb here. What you can do is kind of like squeeze in with this bit. Yep, and then you're going to kind of lift that up. And on the inside, you can just like have a sponge just with your fingers to stabilize, basically. But I think that's probably going to work better for you. And just make sure it's nice and slow, but that's going to just prevent you from accidentally.
Yeah. It's only when I'm taking it away, I just put my finger in it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really good otherwise. Yeah, just really nice and slow. And you just want a hand on the inside for support. And then just make sure you get this rim. So just all the way to the top.
This next part is me trying to get height to the bowl, so you can see me kind of making like a little ledge at the bottom of the pot and then just pulling it up slowly. I probably should be doing it slower, and obviously this is sped up right now, so I'm not just vigorously going back and forth, but you're meant to kind of make a little ledge and then pull the ledge all the way up, and then when you get to the top you're meant to square it off so that the ledge is never really uneven. I kind of forgot, so you can see at the top there it's like wobbling up and down. I didn't square it off as much as I should have, but that's noted for me in the future, which is kind of the reason why I decided to record my entire pottery session, was more so that I could watch back and be like, that's how you do it. Because me and my sister are probably going to go back and do either another beginner's course identical to this one, or the beginner's hand building. So I thought I would record it so that I didn't forget what we'd learned. But this was pot number 1, or no, yeah, bowl number 1, if you will. I think it's probably one of the better looking bowls. I don't think I got better as we go on, and I think that's because the time started to panic me because I wanted to make 4. But if I just stuck to my guns and made 3, I think I would have had 3 better bowls than 4. To be fair, 2 of my bowls are gorgeous, perfect, stunning. But I think the other 2, if I just used the same time as the 1, would have turned out well. And then you can see here, this is me trying to pull out the bowl to give it some more width. So where I failed, so again, this is the first attempt. Everything's just a trial and error. But this, I left too much of a kind of lip at the bottom. So you can see it's kind of like it's on a pedestal. The instructor said we probably could have went lower and then brought it out from the bottom and had less of like a base on it. But that's just trial and error. I know now that I would just spread it out straight from the bottom, attached to the wheel. So this next step is removing the bowl from the wheel. So you wet the wheel itself and you get this kind of wire and make it quite tight, and you just gotta try and slide it under your bowl. And that's why you do have to have a kind of thick base at the bottom, because this will take at least a wee bit off the wheel, so you'll lose some clay. But as long as your wire is tight, the wheel's wet, you can see there just a bit of speed, a bit of force pulls it right under. I decided to go for a second swipe through for a lot of mine. Yeah, you can see here, I'm gonna try and do a second swipe in a minute. Yeah. Yeah, second swipe through, kind of got it, and then you slowly pull it off the wheel and you lift it into your hands and then gently place it where you're gonna keep it. Then you give your little wheel a wipe. We just have this kind of big sponge to give it a wipe, and you just want to get it all clean and semi-dry for starting the next one. So big splat, try and get it as center as possible. And with this one, when I was pushing it, it slipped off center. So how you kind of have to fix that is just start from the beginning again. I think I dried the wheel and then just went for another big splat again. Yeah, just big splat. And you've got to, when you have to re-center it like that, you have to really apply pressure from above to kind of get that wet suction going. Because of just having to apply pressure, like so much pressure from above, it made it a lot more uneven. So you can see this one's a bit more of an angry center. But it did get centered eventually. And you can see I'm applying pressure from all sides to get it as centered and compressed as possible. Now, after you make the hole in the top, you've actually got to push that sponge down in the middle to make sure that the inner part is also compressed in. Because as you're like adding water, you're adding air and stuff. That's as much as I understand anyway. So when you're pulling it up, making a hole, you got to compress down. I don't actually know if I did it or cut it from the video, but you're meant to check the depth of your bowl to see if it's too thin or too thick. So we used a little needle point tool. You put that down in the middle and then you check the thickness, and I think what you're looking for is about 1 inch, I believe. No, 1 inch seems too thick, maybe half an inch. But yeah, I think if it pops up, I'll point at it. So this is me compressing and making that hole in the middle. I think what the instructor said over and over again was stop 5 steps before you think you're gonna stop. And if I had just followed that advice, all of my bowls would have been perfect. But you end up thinking, oh, just another touch and I'll make it better. And this is the exact situation. I'll point it out when it comes up, but if I just stopped, I would have had a gorgeous bowl, and it kept going and it was wonky by the end. You see this gorgeous low bowl, barely a wobbly rim. Well, I think I compressed it too much and I had to completely start again. I think I ended up dragging it and then it just fell. And so I had to start again. So if I just not footered with it would have been perfect. And honestly, like when I look back at that, and I remember I was watching it obviously to make this video, I was like, wow, I had so many possibly perfect balls. It just left me. But yeah, this is one of the two balls that I think I probably could have just, if I'd spent the extra time on, they would have been prettier. And I panicked or pushed too hard, or yeah. But you learn your strength by the end of it. So this was me trying some tools to see if I could use tools to pull it out more than I could my fingers. I did not enjoy using tools, and I don't think that's the tool's fault. I think it's probably that I just didn't know how to use them properly. But I tried to use, I think it was like a round edged tool and that kind of wooden tool there. And I didn't like either of them. I felt like they kept getting stuck in the clay. And it's probably, again, because I wasn't using it correctly. But if I was to do it again, I would try and use them more, just because with the nails anyway, the only thing that was helping was the sponge. So I think if I was to become a genius or a master of the tools, I think that would be helpful. And again, if I just stopped my bowl around here, it would have also been a fine bowl. But as you can see by the end of this bowl, it actually has a nick in it because I think I got my finger caught in it. So the rim is now uneven, which I don't think caused me much issue in the carving week when we had to fix our bowls. But it would have looked nicer for sure. I think I had to take quite a lot of height off of it when carving. So take this lesson from me: if you just stopped before you think you're gonna mess it up, you would have a gorgeous bowl. But I love them all. I'm very sentimental about my bowls. They are my children and I love them all, even if some of them are a bit uglier than the others. Now, bowl 3 is everything you'd ever dream of out of a bowl grandchild. She was perfect in every shape and form. No fault. And I think as well, it was actually the fastest one I did, or throw. The fastest one I threw. That's the correct terminology. But yeah, gorgeous bowl. I honestly, compliments to the chef being me.
do you pull out without it flopping?
You got really good height, which is great.
I've tried to keep it thick as well because the last one got a bit too thin and then it
Kind of flare out.
yeah.
Yeah, I think part of it is also because you're keeping this in quite narrow and you're bringing this out quite wide.
Yeah.
It kind of slumps a little bit and
Yeah.
struggles to support itself. So you try and keep your shoulder like a little bit more subtle. So if you go kind of a medium speed, when you're kind of actually doing this and you've got your hand on the inside here, just try and stretch out less in one way.
Right.
So you're going to kind of like gently push and slowly lift. But try and keep your hand like kind of fairly consistently moving.
Okay.
Because it means the angle is going to be a bit softer and it'll be able to support itself. I'm also just going to bring your base out ever so slightly wider for you because that'll help. So from there, if you kind of, when you're bringing it in, just gently push and starting to lift, just nice and slowly, and just try and keep that angle a little softer.
How are you doing the A part? Because every time I've been doing it, I've been sticking my finger in. So
That's alright.
really-
Just like a finger either side and a finger on top,
Okay.
just letting it run through and gather all that slip. But your height is really good, your walls feel pretty consistent, so then it's just pull it into shape.
So that was me just checking with the instructor on how to actually pull out because I sensed that this bowl had greatness in it. I'd kept it so consistently thick the entire way up and I was like, if I ruin this bowl, there's no hope for the rest. But they kept me reassured. They told me everything was going to be okay. That was all I needed to hear. Oh, look at her. She's perfect. She is everything to me. If I ever drop this bowl, ever, it's game over for me. I don't think I can ever replicate her.
This comes off, it gets slightly tricky to stick back on, so what I'll do for you is
That's what I had with that one.
and then if you get the wheel going for me, I'm going to kind of get it well stuck so it doesn't come flying off. So.
So they came over to stick the last pot for me just because we were coming up to kind of end time. So they said if there was anyone who wanted to have a final attempt, they would kind of get it centered and stuck for us if we were having any issues. And just as they kind of said that, mine slipped off. so they came over. But it's just because when you're using the wheel a lot, you get that extra wetness and that extra clay stuck to it. And then on top of that, the sponge is obviously getting wetter with how much you've got to clean it. So it was very nice of them to come over and help me with the final pot. So with this one, I accidentally pulled one of the kind of inside up higher than the other one. That kind of created this like inner lip in the circle. So I kind of thought it would be nice to have it as kind of like a nacho bowl, like, you know, when you've got a bowl and then a bowl, and I could have like the dip in the middle and then like nachos around the edge, or like a little bread olive bowl situation, or like an olive and like balsamic vinegar. Anyway, there was ideas on ideas. Tragically, she did not survive the pulling out. She kind of separated. I think I went too low in the inner bowl. And again, it's the thing I've said about 3 times. If I'd stopped 5 steps earlier, she would have been gorgeous. And it's really sad because she was so pretty. So because I was rushing to get it done because it was the last bowl of the night, when I threw it, you can see it there, it kind of is really thin and floppy at the top because I basically pulled it up too fast. It kind of just didn't leave enough clay for it. It starts eventually just flopping flat, so I had to pull the inner bit out as well, which is fine because it ended up more bowl-like in the end. But I probably should have just scrapped it, and I would have had more time for a lot of other things during the next few sessions as well, with the glazing and carving. But it's all a learning curve. I can't wait to honestly do another class with them, either the hand building or do this again, and then just see the results. One of the people in our class had already done this course, and they did it again, and their bowls were so much more uniform, so much more like perfect, honestly. So at least I have hope that if we were to come back and do it again, my muscle memory would kick in. If you made it to this point, thank you so much for watching. I will be uploading on Sundays for the next 4 weeks after this one. All the other videos will be shorter than this one, so thank you for doing God's work and watching the longest one. Kiss kiss, see you next week.